Merry meet, blessed be. Welcome to the Sabbath School class. You probably heard that this is going to be renamed. We'll have an announcement on that later, and not in this show. Not this episode, later. It's going to be the same content. It's just going to be more appropriately named and more closely tied into what else we do here, and the audio, of course. But this is the second of 4, or the third of 5, depending on how you want to count it. Last time we did to dare. That was our beginning. Last week we took a break for Thanksgiving, celebrated that. And now we come to know. To dare, to know. It's a logical step. You begin with daring. You know what you want to do. And no matter what anybody else says, you're going to do it, by golly. And then comes the second step. And daring has to be followed by knowing. Absolutely. Your daring has to be followed by your knowing if you're going to be effective. To know is going to answer the obvious questions. If you could, if you can, if you should, and finally, how to bring it about. Think about those questions. If I could, if I can, if I should, how do I bring it about? A logical progression. You visit the home of a Wiccan, or just about anybody of any spiritual path, whose spiritual life is really alive. You know what you're going to notice? A lot of books, and they're not going to be just on spiritual stuff either. And here we're going to talk about why you see that. Knowledge comes from learning. Learning is a never-ending process. Add to that the knowledge that comes from keeping your outer and your inner eyes and ears open. Yeah, your outer eyes and ears, these ones that you can see in the picture here, and your inner ones, the ones that you don't see, but sometimes tell you more. Keeping them open. In fact, if you get a chance to talk to a major figure in just about any spiritual path, ask them what they're up to. That person most likely is going to be telling you about what they're working on learning. I remember meeting some very interesting people whose names you would probably recognize. And for the sake of argument, I'll drop one. Silver Ravenwolf. I met her a couple of times. Quite a person. She really made an impression on me. I can also mention some others, of some other spiritual paths. One of the things that they all had in common. Talk to them about what they're up to, and what they're going to bring up is what they're learning. And you know what? that addresses a major issue. Knowing what you're doing. But that's the beginning. According to most folks, when we talk about to know, that's what they're going to be talking about. That's all they're going to be talking about, is knowing what they're doing. But for people like you and me, to know deals with more than that. Beyond knowing what you're doing. Knowing the facts about what you're dealing with. What do I mean? Well, there's a few of you who know exactly what I mean. Knowing the facts about what you're dealing with, okay, well, to begin with, anybody who's been the victim of gossip, or who's been surprised with a revelation from the other side of an argument, anybody who's had that experience knows a healthy part of what else I'm talking about. The what else that goes beyond knowing what you're doing. That's the beginning of what makes to know so terribly important. To dare, to know, to will, to be silent, or to keep silence, depending on which author you're listening to, which author you're reading. To know. To know what you're doing. To know the facts about what you're dealing with. More than that, too. Along with being a Wiccan high priest, I'm also a priest of the Universal Gnostic Fellowship. Gnostic. That implies a type of knowledge. And I'm not going to get into that here because I've only got so many minutes of recording time on the camera. I want this to fit into a YouTube insertion, which means I've got 15 minutes at the maximum, and I haven't even added the header and trailer yet. But I'll talk about that. But to know. We've touched on that now. To dare and to know. And there's more. And you'll see. I'm Iden. Blessed be. Uriel's Gifts and the Secrets in Plain Sight are sponsored by the Temple of Gaia. At Temple of Gaia, we don't train you to our path. We show you how to find and pursue your own path. Above all, we tried to provide a great place to come together and to share. We're located in Collingdale, Pennsylvania, just outside of Philadelphia, and wherever cyberspace can be reached. To learn more, visit our website at templeofgaiainc.org or our meeting place in cyberspace at templeofgaia.ning.com. Thank you for coming. Feel free to return at any time. We intend to always have something for you here. Blessed be. This has been a presentation of the Wise Ones Net. Merry part and blessed be.